Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Zakk Wylde from Black Label Society. We want you to put your horns up, although I only make a fist, because I like fisting myself.
You couldn't find your peace within the bitterness that burns, for the sleeping dogs that lie, forever to return, forever to return. Crucified by the fire in the devil's hands.
Inside EOne Music with the one and only Zakk Wylde from
What are you
Black
doing,
Label
brother?
Society.
What's happening?
How are you, man?
I feel like a rocker in a rock world.
And of course, we're here to talk about your second solo album, which is about to come out here on EOne Music, Book of Shadows. And first of all, like obviously you're a very busy man. So how do you make time and kind of like set yourself apart from like writing Black Label music versus writing music for your solo projects? Is this something that happens while you're writing Black Label and you have like some songs that maybe you're like, okay, maybe those can be used later, or you just kind of change your modes naturally?
I understand what you're saying, but I mean, it's not like, doing a Pride and Glory thing where you got losing your mind with banjos going on and everything. Like with Ozzy, I wouldn't go, Oz, what do you think of this thing? Unless we're living on a farm, Zakk, we can get rid of the banjo. Ozzy would say, but, no, to me, it's just music, you know what I mean? So, with the Black Label stuff, we always have mellow stuff on the records anyway. So, to me, it's, doing the mellow thing's always part of what is, even with Ozzy, we had Mama I'm Coming Home, Road to Nowhere, Time After Time, See on the Other Side. There's always been mellow things floating around. But, no, as much as I love listening to Zeppelin doing Black Dog, I love it when they do Going to California, so. This album is just pretty much, after all the, all the years of touring since the first Book of Shadows record, after all the years of touring with Black Label and seeing all the Black Label chapters and our Black Label family all around the world, whether it's the London chapter, the Canadian chapter, the New Zealand chapters, it would just be like, hey, Zakk, when you think you'll ever get around to doing one of those Book of Shadows records, like the mellow stuff? And I was like, oh, yeah, in between, cleaning the dog run, changing diapers, world peace, maybe we could fit that in before brunch, but no, I just never really thought about it, because we were always doing our thing. But being that it's a 20-year anniversary, and, Chinese Democracy took 15 years to make. So I figured we could have made this album put it out 16 years after the original Book of Shadows. But I said, the hell with that. I said, we'll go 20 years. So this way, the record will solely be ours, and I think we'll have it for a while, because who can go 20 years without making any money? You know what I'm saying? So, you gotta make another record. So I figured now we'll put the album out. So, yeah, we just went in the studio and did just knocked it right out. But, usually when we do any Black Label albums, it's like a 2-month implosion of creativity, and we make the record and mix it and box it up and ship it out of the factory. So, out of the Black Vatican. But this one was kind of went in, did a batch, and then went back out on the road, touring behind Catacombs of the Black Vatican, and then back in the studio, and then back out, then back in, and back out, so haven't done that process before, but whatever way you got to do it, you got to do it. But no, I'm really happy with the way the album came out, though.
From the songs in a particular album, are there any like standouts when you were in the studio or when you went back on tour that you heard it back and you're like, yo, there's a very special song right there?
Well, there's 3 songs that I'm really fond of on the new record: "Stairway to Heaven," "Free Bird," and "White Christmas." I think they'll be around, and they sound like they have lasting power.
They'll last forever.
Well, I'm looking forward to the residual checks on these songs.
And you said it's been 20 years since the first one came out, right? But for people watching that might not know, maybe they're just coming aware of who Zakk Wylde is. You've released a lot of records. You've become
my
a
wife
father.
and my children feel as well every time I come off the road. Hi, Uncle Frank. How are you? It's Dad. It's me. But anyways, but what, the first album?
Well, it's been 20 years and you've done a lot since then. It's not like the kids with Chinese Democracy that they waited 15 years to release something. It really, you've been doing a lot of other things in those 20 years. And from those changes, from those, tours, from those different kind of things that you've come across in those 20 years, what are the things that have really impacted this record and yourself, 20 years later?
Well, Well, some things are still the same. My love for steroids, my love for man root enhancement, and peanut butter and jelly. I still enjoy that as well, thoroughly. But aside of that, I still love the same music that I loved when I made the first record, whether it's uh, Stones, the band, Neil Young, Elton John, Van Morrison, the Eagles, Allman Brothers, Leonard Skinner, and Bad Company. You know what I'm saying, when they're doing the mellow stuff. So I also love, Sam Cooke and Percy Sledge and all that genre of music. So it's basically just my love for that and Bob Seger and stuff like that. So Creedence, I think if you put it all in the blender, and I think everybody's just is a byproduct of the stuff that they love and what you listen to and what moves you. So that's what you're going to record. But yeah, I mean that's what the album pretty much is. I mean that's the constant throughout since I made the first one to this one. But obviously everybody, after 20 years you have different situations that have gone through in your life that you can draw from and write about and stuff like that. But I've been writing about that for the last 20 years, but us doing Black Label albums and stuff like that. But I mean, so when we were going to make this record, it was just basically like got 2 months before the fellas are going to come out and do it, and then you just start writing. So that's pretty much the way I always usually work.
And what are some of the situations in those 20 years or in your life, that have really impacted you as a musician, as a person nowadays, in 2016?
Nothing. I just, no matter how the business changes or whatever, downloading or whatever, you just, if Zeppelin or Black Sabbath had to go through it, and with it in the 70s, they would just plow right through it as well. You just keep working and you keep grinding. That's it.
We never stop. I mean, because when you're into this, and I feel that way with whatever you put out, there's always so much passion and so much honesty behind it. You know what I mean? In the fans, that's why you have so many chapters all around the world that are behind you, because the honesty that you put into everything. You don't just release something to see how the numbers do, to kind of recollect the check. No, you really feel and you kind of love what you do, and that's very admirable. Because I think if you lose that, you might as well just not play music.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think all your favorite bands and all your favorite artists that you love, you have to have passion for what you do and everything like that, and that's the reason why I enjoy steroids, paint chips, and glue. You've got to have passion.
So that's where the passion comes from?
Yes, of course. I can't write any of this stuff on my own.
How about auto-tune?
Once again, yes, I need that as well. Let's just use all of it.
And how much of the new technology has influenced the way you write music? Do you have like a rig in the road that you work with, or is more kind of like you think about it, and then when you go into the studios when you really record music?
I mean, even though I have the Black Vatican, the recording studio is just walking distance from that. I mean, I don't live in the studio. It's just like when we're gonna record another record and we're gonna make a new batch of beer and some new Black Label Flavor Country donuts. That's when we'll go in there and start making stuff, But no, if I come up with, some song ideas, usually I'll have the music and everything. But I usually write songs from the beginning to end. I don't usually have bits and pieces lying around all over the place. Right. And then, I think if you ask any band or any artist or anything, once you get in the studio, it's such a breeding ground for inspiration. Everything sounds good, and it's instant gratification because you can hear something and it inspires you and you get going, whether it's a piano, a heavy guitar riff, or an acoustic thing or whatever, I mean, you could be going out walking, making a coffee run and hear Heart of Gold by Neil Young and go, man, that's awesome. And you get inspired. When you get back to the studio, you pick up an acoustic guitar and play something in that same time signature and that same style and that same vein. And then by the time you get done, it sounds nothing at all like Heart of Gold, but that was the spark, and that was the thing that ignited the inspiration for whatever it is it morphs into and whatever you end up writing. That's the beautiful thing about being inspired by other artists or bands or anything like that.